goes from A to Z and plays a WAV file which has been compressed. And the reason that file sharing and music piracy has been so rife is because this is a very simple format and a very easy, can be simply downloaded to many people. So MP Cubed is a much more complex format, which is made up of the whole master track. And an example of the user interface is looking at loops. So often modern music is built of loops, and essentially, rather than using a linear format as is the standard today, we're using literally a revolutionary user interface. I'm going to demonstrate a little bit about the kind of thing that you could do. So the producer or artist has laid down some various tracks and, for example, beats. And as a user, using various devices, you can interact with this. So you can change, if you check out the screen, you can understand a little bit what's going on. This is not at all the user interface, this is the software that we're using. But essentially, the idea is we can play with the music. Oh no.
I like the bridge there.
So the artist has got their kind of mega meta vision for the track, their kind of idea for that, and then the user can interact with that how they wish. And this is really only one aspect of MP Cubed, and it's something that we think is really exciting and really opens up the possibilities for interaction with music across platforms, to all sorts of devices. Is that me?
That's you.
Yeah. Cool.
So that's for the creators, the very few, the underbelly of society. But now we want to talk to the masses, really. And I'm just going to give you an example of one demographic. Of course, there's many, but here are, imagine 3 15-year-old girls in front of their 50-inch screen, just on their mantelpiece. Not you, but you can get arrested for that. And a camera just filming you. And so, as this cube is going round, and you can interact with it through sensor and actuators like motion sensors, or maybe you can have a little accessory. This is the Lady Gaga glove. And then you still can play with that. You can just squeeze it, and then you get chipmunk sound coming with that. So you can play around with the video, the music, the games, so you can have a sort of virtual presence there with your favorite star. But the nice thing are these things, community and events, and that is where the money comes in. So, with community, you can just link up with your friends in their own little cubes. So cubes, it's like your living room, safe and sound, because these girls, they're shy, they don't stick their head above the parapet. They don't make any noises, except when they're home. They're complete beasts. They're loud, they scream, they're karaoke fans. They dance along, and they're not inhibited by anything. And that's a safe environment, especially in these days, where these girls can operate. So, then, once a month, there's an event. It can be your favorite artist doing a favorite single. So we have Single Lady doing her single. And about 10 million others are also hooked up for this event. And your internet provider or your cable provider or even Rupert Murdoch over there, beaming down from the sky, you can have micropayments going to the record industry. It's new ways for the record industry to exploit their artists. So, win-win, at least for them. And so during this event, you might be able to sort of place yourself on the stage with Lady Gaga through this camera, because it's not just a silly webcam, it's one that audio tracks used. You can sing along, you can dance along, it can zoom in on you. And maybe you can see all those tens of millions of others through unknown technologies yet to be discovered. I'm going to hand back to Lou.
Adam.
Let's talk about money.
Right. Okay. So, what MPQ does is it takes a whole range of disparate elements which are to do with the experience of music. So, from the live experience, the experience of producing music, to the exclusive access to content, and it just puts this in one package, which has value. It's a digital, cross-platform, interactive, audio-visual encoding format that is actually going to save the music industry.
Stop it. How do I just listen to music while I'm cooking or something?
Well, you can still rip it off. Because it's only, the music will always be ripped off, that's the premise of that.
Okay.
So you can just
But can I
rip
just
it off
like
on
press
way
play?
and then take that.
I can just press play. Like
Yeah, you can just press
right.
play. And also, of course, it's not just a big screen, you can have
kind of-
mobile platforms, you can even have mobile phones sort of linked up in the school
Yeah, I was
playground.
interested in play buttons. That was cool.
Yes.
Thank you.
Advanced user preferences, and that'll open up an edit suite, that kind of thing. If you don't want to see that, don't
Yeah, I
be
just want to
bothered with
listen to music.
Yeah,
It sounds quite difficult so far.
No, it doesn't.
No, you
It's
just
really simple.
just press play.
You can still basically.
Okay.
It's
There's
about
a
tying
play
together
stop
things. You can
Cool.
still listen to
A
music.
pause one as well.
What's the physical bit?
The physical bit is
It's recyclable as well.
well.
Does
There's
it-
not.
So
It's
it
not
is
really.
a cardboard
It's soft. No, it's software. It's a software. It's a software. No, not at all. It's not. It's not. There's not a physical. There's not a physical aspect. There's not a physical aspect to MPQ.
Oh,
It's a soft. No, it's a soft. It's software.
I quite like
It's
the
not.
physical.
There's not a physical aspect at all. It's a concept for software, and we haven't.
So
We've
it's just
produced.
MySpace with a few extra features.
No, it's the whole idea is that teenagers, they don't spend money on music, but what they want for their birthdays and their Christmas and everything else in between is games, and they cost money. So
No.
if you're a poor parent, you have to buy those.
It's like an MP3. It's not an MP3. It's an app which lets you do loads of cool and rad stuff with the music, right? So you don't download. So software, we don't see, or many people don't see recorded music as having value. So they'll just download it because it's not. It's just a recording. It's a tune. You can download it. It hasn't cost anything for a while. There's ways of getting people to eke out a bit of cash, but ultimately it's just a new format.
So it's a platform and a store. So I buy MP cubes, and then as a way of accessing, or I download it for free or whatever, and then I access
Yeah,
the music.
The key thing
Sure,
is the media centre, because that's what this is all built around. It's the idea that media centres haven't come along in the past decade.
But that's
So this is that's what's
So-
incentivising the
Web-based
majority of people.
Well, you can buy some test
You
covers.
download the desktop application, which is also connected to the cloud.
yeah. So the media centre it's an MPQ player which you can download, and that will allow you to download MPQs.
But that's like all the DRM players that never took off, isn't it?
Well,
Well,
they
They
were.
will eventually.
Well, the thing is, they weren't marketed correctly. That's the problem.
The other good thing about this is that it's sort of relative. We're trying to make it open source so developers can come along and add new features. So the application will actually evolve as well with time, and sort of try and get a real community sense around it. So you sort of put into it yourself. When you've made your own versions of songs, they go back in and then other people can listen to it.
And it's not just music, it's more the gaming thing, so you can dance along, you know, it can have motion tracking.
It's like with,
So
with
really, if
tuning
iTunes
your
did games, and if iTunes did games and let you edit the music,
Is that what
Like,
you're
that's what it's saying?
Connect plus Max
Connect
MSG
plus
plus
iTunes,
iTunes.
yeah.
It's the whole thing,
Because it's
it's
got
new
the
alliances amongst
it's
the
got
game
the
industry
music,
and
so-
the music industry.
Yeah.
And then on the live events, that's where you make your money. So you got 10 million people from Australia to Japan to Cuba, where it's very popular.
If you release it like open source, doesn't that mean that people can just see your encoding techniques and
Yeah.
then?
I mean, open source was. I mean, it's not. Open source is not really. I mean, I know we just said that, but. I didn't say it. I didn't say it.
It's
Open source.
probably wrong. Relatively open to promote.
Open so that the
Development.
There's tools to make shit with.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It
and it's
is-
got elliptical encryption. You see, Dave knows everything about that, how to do that. So
Elliptically encrypted. Good for them.
we'll put that in there. But the music will always be ripped off. That's sort of, you won't tell anybody that that is the case.
A
But
media player with everything in it
yeah.
in one place, not disparate. Cool.
But it's not just about it being one place, it's about how it's related to media library, because it's like a lot of people are using iTunes for obvious reasons, but what if you had a new media player that presented your media library in a completely new way? And that's people are going to start downloading it, it's going to become the media player the majority of people use, and when that happens they're going to start to realise that other features they can use within that media centre, then they're going to have to buy the MPQ to use the media centre to access those features. So
We've come to the end now of our presentation.
One question.
Yes, last question.
With the thing of piracy, again, it's more complicated than MP3s, but isn't it just a file that you can ultimately send around to other people?
Well, that's been made hot, so you can do that with the music still, because you know that's a
There's-
silent agreement. But all the rest is encrypted, so you can't.
Well, there's this extra. Okay, so what you're saying is essentially you can get an MP3 or an MP file from anywhere. Okay, and if you copy that, yeah. But what you could add to that is say every time you activate it on your account to get access to exclusive features, it has some kind of serial code with it, which means that is a one use with that account.
Right.
So you get a link to it. So for instance, in the game world, there's a format called Steam, which does exactly the same thing. So you buy something through Steam, it then registers it to your account, and you can't copy that.
You might have the feature in the house rather than like an iPhone or another MP player or something.
Well, then
You
it
don't
gets that.
You don't have to buy. You don't have to buy anything other than your iPhone. You've already got your devices and your computer. It's just a library which you can download onto those devices, and it acts as a distribution service also.
Oh, I see what you mean about people like pirating stuff like that. In an odd way, it's not important. People are always going to do that. That's not the important thing. The important thing is once you get people all using this media centre, so the same number that use like iTunes or whatever, and you can start, I know, do advertising, whatever you want on that. You're drawing people into this one source, and through that, other ideas will follow.
Yeah.
So you don't have to rely on actually literally buying it.
Cool.
So.
Yeah. The end.
Thank you.
It's about the concept for a new format, but we did use a 3D printer to make a rad, heavy, brick-like thing that has got some weight to it. But I'll just talk you through the symbols that we've got. So MP cubed is a new format that has value. It's cross-platform, so that means you can use it on all your devices. You can edit loops, and we're looking at a new interface for editing loops. So that will allow the user access to the master track essentially, and you can edit, you can play around with it a bit. The more hardcore user. It also offers exclusive access to features from artists. So it's like a ticket as well. And they could be like live streaming events every month. Oh, there you go, live streaming events every month. There you go. Money! MP cubed! Yeah!